Standing in the rain of sorrow, we ponder what went so horribly wrong. A person has died by their own hand. A person we love whose life was far from long. Surely there must be a reason, a root cause of this calamity. We try in vain to find that singular cause. Sometimes we blame others. At times, it is a friend or a relative. Or we accuse coworkers or lovers. It must have been because of money problems. Maybe it was embarrassment or harassment. Or the death of another, perhaps even the loss of a cherished pet. The stress of the job, a failure to get along, abuse, sexual, physical, or mental. Drug abuse, a chemical imbalance in the brain. A cultural restraint or expectation, maybe the witnessing of a traumatic event, an inability to not take offense, an extreme sensitivity to the world. A result of chronic pain, a struggle with disease or the aftermath of a serious injury, bad grades, a lack of belonging, hopelessness, purposelessness, an inability to find meaning. Then it comes to us. This is complex. One thing alone is rarely ever the cause. An event can tip the balance or be the one too many straws, but that alone is not enough. A combined effect of many factors that swirl and churn, collide and strike at just the right or wrong time. A perfect storm. No one cause, no one person to blame. We stand in the rain in the aftermath of that perfect storm. I've become acutely aware of suicide after the death of my wife and my brother. I've also lost no less than 7 coworkers I've worked directly with in emergency medical services in the past 7 years. So suicide to me is very personal and something I've chose to study intensively for over 13 years. Everything I do tends to center around that. Some people probably would say that I'm obsessed with that, but that's my mission. And I'm going to work on this problem. And this problem is an interdisciplinary problem. So many people think when somebody suicides, and I don't say the word commit, if you notice, and that's the last time I'll say it, because commit denotes a crime. Suicide is not a crime. It's an outcome of a mental illness or another situation, a perfect storm. Suicide is not illegal in any state in the United States. In fact, it's only illegal in one place, the U.S. military, an attempt or a completed suicide. So I won't say commit. It's really a puzzle. It's that perfect storm. Iris Bolton gives an analogy of a cup full of water. Imagine the cup almost overflowing with water, but not quite there. Then somebody takes an eyedropper and adds 2 drops of water to that cup, and then it overflows. And then somebody else wants to blame the last 2 drops. Yes, they might have been the precipitating event, but they were not the sole cause of that overflow of your cup. So if you would use that analogy to think about suicide. Suicide is perhaps one of the most interdisciplinary topics I've ever come across in my long academic career, except for possibly epidemiology and education itself. So we need to study it in that context. I've got 4 areas I'm going to talk about, but of course it's even much more complex than 4 disciplines. The first area is psychology. One of my favored hypotheses, or actually theories, comes from Edwin Schneidman, a preeminent suicidologist. He has the theory of a psych ache. It is an unbearable pain that causes one to take their lives. Research actually shows us that people in chronic physical pain are 2 to 3 times more likely to suicide than the general population. Different health conditions have higher risks, such as end-stage renal disease, cancer patients. So it is a very real phenomenon. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to do a little thought experiment ourselves. So indulge me a bit, and we're going to go into pretend world. Story time with Chris, as my students sometimes say. So just for a moment, pretend that none of you can die no matter what I do to you. And you are powerless to stop me from doing what I want. But you can feel every bit of pain. So I'm going to start, I'll start with this gentleman here. Sorry. But I'm going to take out a ball-peen hammer. And I'm going to wind up, swing, and hit him square in the middle of the head as hard as I can. He's going to feel every ounce of that excruciating pain. But he's not going to die. And I'm going to go on to this lady here. And so on. All the way down the rows, I'll visit every one of you at some point. And then I'll repeat that process at 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Heck, maybe I'll give you a break. Maybe I'll let you off for a couple hours, a couple days, or maybe even a week. As that hammer blow strikes your head, are you thinking about your family member? Your mother, your father, your siblings, your children, your friends? Are you thinking about your great job? Are you thinking about all the money you have, the great vacation you're going to take? No, you're not thinking about any of those things. You're thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that's make the pain stop. In fact, I would hypothesize that if that exercise were a reality, every one of you in this room would take your lives at some point. Some earlier, some later. But eventually, every one of you would take your own lives. And that's a psychic. And there's many more psychological theories. From biology, one of my favorite theories is systems theory, that everything is interconnected. But we also know that on a PET scan, we can see people with profound depression before treatment, and we see areas not lit up in their brain on the scan. They're not active. And when they're treated, post-treatment, we can see those areas lit up in their brain. Many people say, show me the evidence. You can't show me the evidence in a scan. It's been a banner a couple of years for suicide research. We can do that. We can also see it on an fMRI. We can see evidence of lesions in the white matter in the limbic system, which is responsible for emotional regulation. So there is evidence. From anthropology, we understand culture and the role that culture plays in suicide, and is a very powerful force. 2 summers ago, I did some research in Wyoming because the rates are so exceptionally high there, and I found that cowboy culture was part of that. And I would posit to you that military and public safety culture is a subset of military culture or cowboy culture. And that all interacts. History, in ancient times, people thought the 4 imbalances of the 4 humors caused mental illnesses, specifically melancholy, which is black bile. That's what it translates to in medical research. Hysteria. Hyster means uterus. The uterus apparently had legs, used to wander around the body. People would put flowers between the woman's legs because uteri, I guess that's plural, also have noses. So they'd snap back into place if you did that. So that's, and then the moon causes mental illness or people to act out. Many people still will say that. And that's been so thoroughly debunked. I don't even want to go there by research. It's just not true. You're more aware of things going on during the moon. Maybe it's lighter out and people perpetuate crimes, but not the moon itself. John Muir, the preeminent naturalist, said, when we try to pick anything out by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. And I think that speaks to the interdisciplinarity of everything. A little bit on the statistics of suicide, because what's the big deal and why is it a problem? Over 1 million suicides occurred in the world, but the number is down to over 804,000. But the problem is the United States has been climbing heavily and steadily for over half a century. We topped out with 41,000 the last time that the statistics were done. It's the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, claims more lives than HIV/AIDS. So it's quite a significant problem. 836,000 people will visit the emergency departments for a suicide attempt this year. So quite staggering numbers. Unfortunately, the United States is one of the top 9 countries where suicides have been increasing, not decreasing. We need to pay attention to what's going on in other parts of the world using our interdisciplinary research to see what are they doing that's successful and why aren't we doing that. And that is on the agenda of the suicidologists in this country. So my why not is, why not establish some kind of formal academic program to study suicide? A degree in suicidology, if you will. I'm a suicidologist. How did I get that way? I did it by earning degrees in other topics. In my case, public health and liberal studies, interdisciplinary research. Everything I do is studying facets related to suicide. I attend conferences, I've published some papers, done presentations like this. That makes one a suicidologist. But I would like there to be a formal program in that. Maybe it's not a master's degree, maybe it's an undergraduate, maybe it's a certificate, I don't know. But I think we need to start taking that seriously. So we need to expect things. We need the public to say, why not? I need all of you and all here in the audience and all of you watching this on video. I need you to say, why not? Why not study suicide and other health problems in an interdisciplinary manner? How else are we going to solve them? The college and university environment is a big thought laboratory. We produce great ideas, innovations. So we need to bring that to these institutions. And we need to expect that as publics, or the public. To administrators, faculty in the university and college system, I say, why not foster that? Why not champion that kind of a degree, and other interdisciplinary degrees too? We haven't always cooperated well interdisciplinary-wise. So I'm going to issue a call for action, a plea for action, that you support this cause, that you do what you can to raise awareness of suicide, and support that research and such initiatives, so that people like my wife and my brother and my coworkers will not have lived in vain. Their lives must mean something. So in the words of Robin Williams in the movie Dead Poets Society, carpe diem, seize the day. Let's quell the perfect storm. Thank you.